Okay. Good morning, guys. How are y'all? I'm a little nervous, so bear with me. Ran off and forgot my notes, my whole Bible bag, so this will be great. We'll just see what God's going to do today. That's right. Um, I think I might have it here. Yeah, I got it here. We're good. You know, that song, A Sound Mind, is something that it's really touching because I know for me, the struggle to have a sound mind and that peace, of God is something that I really had to fight for. And while I was hearing that song, it just made me think about, all of the voices that cloud that sound of God, because we hear all the voices of everybody else that has spoken to us, that has brought us down, that drags us down every day, and our voice and God's voice gets drowned out by all of those other voices that we're hearing. But whenever we surrender those things to God, and instead of to those words that those people have spoken to us, or whatever hurt has spoken to us, or whatever, laying those things down and surrendering them to Him allows us to have that sound mind and to be able to hear God's voice. And it took me a long time to be able to do that, to understand it, and it really took a move of God to guide me on how to do that. And because for a long time, like a lot of you missed my testimony. I think it was last week. Was it last week or 2 weeks ago? 2 weeks ago. And so, anyway, so God, whenever I started really seeking Him, because I grew up in church, I went and I sat in the church, and I wanted so much to be, I guess, a church person. I really wanted to have religion. I wanted to pursue a God that I didn't have any idea who He was. And it's really difficult to have understanding and to sit in the church and to hear the Word of God, not understanding, and also sitting there hearing all of the other voices without that sound mind, being able to have that peace of mind. And so for a lot of years, and I'm talking like 20-some years, I really struggled to step into that and to know what that was like to be a Christian, like to be a real Christian. Like I would look at everybody else and think, man, they have it. Like, why can't I have what they have? I wanted that relationship with God. I wanted that so bad, but I didn't know how to get it. And so, try to see where I'm supposed to start here. So for a lot of years, I thought that God was just going to do something in me, do something for me that was going to change everything for me. That it was just going to automatically like strike my heart and it be healed, because for a lot of my life, all I saw was a broken heart. And it got to the point to where all I could see was brokenness. And like the lady in I don't know what book it is, but I know the story where she has the issue of blood, and she has to push through and past this whole crowd of people that know about her issues, just to touch Him. And this morning, like while I was just reflecting back on stuff, God really spoke to me on that story. And, whenever all this time that I would hear this story, I'm thinking in a literal carnal, mindset that she's literally bleeding out, and the way that I found relation to it this morning was that my heart being torn open the way that it was, from a lot of trauma and whatnot, just a lot of hurt, I started seeing myself with this big gaping wound. And and the longer that I focused on that, it it gets a little gory, but this is how God, let me see myself. My heart was so broken, and it was, to me, a wound that was gaping open, and it was oozing and dripping blood. It was so broken. And it was almost, to me, past the point of being able to be healed. It was like, that's just how broken that I saw myself. And it, like that woman who had to push through all of the crowd to get to just touch the hem of his garment, I had to, in my own way, push past all of my own issues, all of those wounds that were dripping out of me from inside. I had to stop running from them, and I had to stop just hoping that it would happen for me, and I had to turn around and face those hard things in order to get to just to grab that one piece, that one word, that one something that was going to help me to start that shift of turning it all around for me. And little by little, God has been able to mend that wounded heart. And each day that I pursue him, every moment of the day, sometimes it's even every second of the day, whenever those voices and that hurt and all of that stuff tries to come back and start talking to me, and it tries to tear at those seams of my heart, I have to shift my perspective and remember who I am and who God is and who God says that I am. And that is, I know in my testimony a couple weeks ago, I shared something about like God showed me standing in front of the cross. And for so long, the only thing that I could see was, whenever I looked at the cross, was the end. I couldn't see past that. I didn't see Jesus as resurrected. I didn't see him as new life. I literally saw it as the end. And for me, I felt really hopeless at that point. That, if death took him out, how am I supposed to rely on somebody that I can't even see as alive anymore, And, God gave me the revelations of different things, and it's helped me to be able to see past all of those things. But it's definitely not an easy road. It's not something that you can just sit back and wait for God to move. You have to take those steps and look to him for the strategy of how, like, if you really want to be healed, God's going to do it for you, but you have to do the work in order for him to really move. And that was something that I had to find out for myself. And it wasn't until, like, I was at a point in my life where my life was, it wasn't going the way that I wanted. It wasn't going the way that I planned. It wasn't going the way that I knew God would want it to go. And literally, whenever I felt like everything was falling apart, rather than just surrendering to everything just falling apart, I surrendered it to God and asked God to show me the way, show me how am I supposed to do this different, because I didn't want to do it the same anymore, because that was something I always did. Every time I was broken, every time I was sad, I would go back and I would just do it all the same. I would just talk about it, and I wouldn't have any solution of what I was supposed to do with that hurt, with that brokenness. And I remember I walked into church, and that day was my deliverance day. And it didn't all just automatically just go away, but what he did do for me was it was new life for me. He gave me a new, like, sound mind. Those things that hurt so much, that were so heavy, because what he did leading up to that for me, what we did together, it was something that I couldn't have done on my own. God had to walk me through that in order to be able to see him. But the day that I walked in here and I received deliverance, I still had doubt and I still didn't trust him fully. Even though he was still like he was moving, he was showing me things, but I didn't believe fully in the gospel of Jesus. I didn't have that until he made me a full-on believer, you guys. That it is so real. For a long time I thought, like, I wanted what I saw other Christians have. I wanted to be able to have that kind of a faith, but sometimes, like, I know for me and I know for other people, it really takes a move of God, just a touch of God, and that real encounter for you to really understand that this is really real. And I will tell you, the mind fight that I had after deliverance was extreme, but God didn't stop. Like, he kept showing me, like, anytime that the enemy tried to come against me, because I fought so much between the voice that I was going to listen to. It became so real, and I started seeing God in, like, I know it sounds crazy, and I'll have to show it to you someday, but I started seeing him in stains on my floor, where the enemy, like, I could see some of the stains look like a serpent lashing out, but then above it, it's like a crack in the concrete that is shaped like a cross, and the cross is above the serpent. And God speaks to me through a crack on the floor, to bring me back around to focus on him and not whatever that serpent is lashing out at me in that moment. And I have several of them. I have this workout room. I call it my war room because it's more a war room than it is a workout room for me right now anyway. But there's this one picture that speaks so much to me. And I know that it's a permanent stain on my floor, that I can walk into that room anytime and be able to just walk by it and see and have that reminder that it's me and God. No matter, the enemy might be right here, but it can't touch me as long as I have my focus turned to God. So it looks like Jesus, and it even has a little cross on a head, head shape. I'll show it to you guys sometime. And we're both bowed down looking at each other in this stain on my floor. Like, that's what I got out of it. And it sounds crazy, but, God speaks through everything. Yeah. Yeah, that's so true, yeah. Yeah. Mhm. Yeah. Mhm. Yeah, it's a real fight. It's a real fight. Mhm. Mhm. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Mhm. Yeah. And that's something, the enemy tried to convince me that I was crazy. And that is something that he will do, to try and keep you from talking. Yeah, he will. Yep. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Mhm. Yeah. That is, yeah. Yeah. It's pretty cool you say that. Like last night, I felt like the enemy tried to rob me of sleep because I usually sleep so good. And last night, I had these just nonsense dreams, and it was like I woke up at 10:30 and then again at 12 and then again at 2 and then I'm up at 3:30 and yeah, he'll try it, but I said, "You know what? I'm going to push through. I'm going to do this." And um, I'm not drinking coffee either right now, so this is a whole new challenge today. Huh? There you go. Yeah. Mhm. Right. Yeah. So, one thing that I feel like God is leading me to do is to share more with you guys. So, I struggled for like the last 4 days on like trying to come up with what am I going to talk about? What am I going to share? Well, God, what do you want me to share? And more worrying about it than just trusting that He's going to give me the word. And so I wake up this morning and I sit there and I'm like, all right. And then I just start praying to God and I'm like, God, you know, I don't have a word. And He said, no, you don't, but I do. And last night I was actually laying in bed, and I usually am really good about checking I have the Bible app and it'll give you a verse every day. I'm really good about doing that in the mornings, but at nighttime I haven't been doing that. Well, last night I got on and I clicked on it, and the verse that popped up was 2 Corinthians 12. And he says, sorry, I don't have it memorized. 12:1, it's, this boasting will do no good, but I must go on. I will reluctantly tell about visions and revelations from the Lord. And that is something that, I know that I've learned that the best thing you can do is to use what God has already given you. And what God gave me has been tools and different strategies that helped guide me through my process of healing. It is a journey that I tried to do for so long on my own, and I couldn't do it without God. I tried, and I always came to the same place, and it was just broken, exhausted, wanting to give up, mostly just hopeless. But I finally clicked that, hey, what you're seeking after, you have to really implement those things into I had to implement those into my life, into my everyday steps of before I did anything, what strategy was God telling me to use um, before I made any decision, before I said any kind of a word to somebody, what I had to learn to ask God what that was. What was I supposed to say? What was I supposed to do? Where was I supposed to be going for that day? And it's helped so much along the way to, one, the relationship that I have developed in Christ has been so beautiful. It's been painful at times, but it's the end result is so beautiful, you guys. It blows my mind, like, to know that just a year ago I was this completely different person. Um, and just I want my intention is to come in and to share those tools with you guys while sharing with you the visions that God gave me. I think will help you guys also to be able to see yourselves and to see God in a different perspective. And that is more of where I feel like God is leading me to do, is to not be a preacher, because I don't believe that at this time that I am called to be a preacher at all, but more of like a spirit guide, I guess you can call it. I don't know what the proper term is, but to share with you those tools that God gave me that nobody else on this earth has been able to give me. I've been through a lot of counselors, I've seeked out a lot of help, and nobody could help me the way that God has. Whenever I trusted every step that he told me to make, I haven't gone backwards. I haven't stepped back into the old me that I used to be. And so as long as I know that as long as I keep looking to him before I do anything else, but even with the thoughts that come, I have to, okay, God, if this isn't from you, I bind them up and I cast them, and I ask you to give me those new thoughts. Give me clear mind. Clear my heart, clear my mind, and refill it with whatever is from you. And just learning how to do all of those things along the way, I feel like is my responsibility to pass those on so that you guys can use them. And I can give you the tools, but you guys have to implement them into your own life, into your everyday, not just whenever I'm here on Mondays. Like I feel it's very necessary. One, I would like you guys to bring your notebooks. I see you guys did today, so that's awesome. Because there's going to be certain things that I'm sure even is going to surprise me that's going to come out of my mouth, because I'm going to rely completely and totally on God. I don't have this whole plan laid out. I don't have a book that I've read. Like, this is real life stuff that I walked through myself with God. And so that's, I can't get any more real than that, you know. I even went back to the day that I got delivered in church because I don't remember what pastor preached about. I went back this morning to try and see what he was saying, like maybe God would speak to me through that. And it didn't even show the whole message. So I was like, well, okay. Like, God was like, nope, that's not what you're doing. You're not gonna preach what he said. You're gonna preach what I'm telling you to say. And so, yeah, so here we are. But that is the intention that I bring, is to be more of a tool. And if you guys open your hearts to be that and to receive what God says through me, I believe that it'll help you guys to come and overcome a lot of different struggles that we all come with today. So that's about all I got. I don't know what time it is. Yeah, it's about that time, so. Does anyone want to close us out in prayer? Is anyone comfortable to do that? Nobody? All right.